The large conference room was silent as everyone stared at the screen, where a video played on loop. The video showed Charles Kensington, the golden boy of Bridges Comer, humiliating one of the office cleaners, a middle-aged woman named Maria Espinoza. "You call this clean?" Charles barked in the video, his perfectly styled blonde hair and crisp suit a stark contrast to Maria's simple uniform. Maria stood frozen, clutching her mop. She said nothing as Charles continued, "Do you even know what you're doing? Maybe next time, try thinking before you start wiping things down like some robot." The people in the conference room exchanged uneasy glances as Charles watched the video, his face pale. He had no idea that one moment of arrogance and cruelty would lead to his career's downfall. Across the table, the CEO, Jacob Lynn, closed his laptop with a cold finality. "Charles, this isn't just a PR nightmare. It's a reflection of your character, and it's unacceptable." Charles opened his mouth to protest, but before he could speak, Jacob added, "We'll discuss this later. For now, you're relieved of your duties." As Charles left the room in stunned silence, Maria's quiet strength and resilience would soon inspire a chain of events that would change Bridges Co. and Charles Kensington forever. Charles Kensington had always believed he was destined for greatness. Born into a wealthy family in the heart of London, he had grown up surrounded by privilege. His parents, high-profile lawyers, expected nothing less than perfection from their only son. And Charles delivered. He graduated top of his class from Oxford and quickly climbed the corporate ladder at Bridges Co., one of the most prestigious consulting firms in the city. At 35, Charles was on the brink of being promoted to senior partner, a position that would cement his status as one of the most powerful men in London's business world. But with success came arrogance. Charles had little patience for anyone he deemed beneath him, from junior employees to the office cleaning staff. Maria Espinoza, one of the cleaners at Bridges Co., was a frequent target of his disdain. Maria Espinoza was a 50-year-old woman with a quiet dignity that belied the struggles she had faced. Born and raised in a working-class neighborhood in Madrid, Maria had moved to London 20 years ago with her husband and young son in search of better opportunities. Life hadn't been kind to Maria. Her husband had passed away 5 years ago, leaving her to raise their son, Diego, on her own. Despite the challenges, Maria remained resilient. She worked long hours cleaning office buildings, determined to give Diego a better life. Maria never complained, even when she faced disrespect from people like Charles. "Work is work," she often said. "Dignity comes from how you do it, not what you do." Her quiet strength and unwavering resolve inspired everyone who knew her, except Charles Kensington, who saw her only as someone who mopped the floors. The day of the viral video started like any other. Maria arrived early at Bridges Co., her cleaning supplies neatly arranged on her cart. She worked efficiently, her mind focused on finishing her shift so she could attend Diego's school concert that evening. As she cleaned the conference room, Charles stormed in, clearly agitated. He barked at Maria to leave, but when she didn't move quickly enough, he lashed out. "Can't you do anything right?" Charles snapped, knocking over the mop bucket with his foot. Maria calmly picked up the bucket and began to clean the mess, her face expressionless. Unbeknownst to Charles, a junior employee recorded the entire exchange on their phone. By lunchtime, the video had been shared across the company. Employees were outraged at Charles's behavior, and the video quickly reached Jacob Lynn, the CEO. Jacob couldn't care less about what happens to the low-level employees, especially the ones of color. He was a very proud man, and felt he was too busy and too important for that. Although he was racist, he hid it in the fake inclusivity environment he created. But no person of color held any important position in his company. He didn't necessarily see what was wrong in Charles's behavior, but the video had gone viral and he had no option than to act. He wasted no time calling Charles into his office. The fallout was swift and brutal. Charles was suspended pending further investigation, but he would still receive his full pay and benefits. Charles Kensington sat in his dimly lit apartment nursing his third glass of scotch. The suspension had stung, yes, but what truly burned him was the humiliation of being called out in front of the entire company because of that low life. In his mind, none of it was his fault. Maria, that woman, with her fake calm demeanor, had somehow made him look like the villain. He convinced himself that she must have orchestrated the recording. His enemies had used her to bring him down. The thought fueled his resentment, and as days turned into weeks, his bitterness grew. Charles later returned to work under strict conditions. While most of his colleagues avoided him, he felt no shame. Instead, he focused on finding ways to regain his power, determined to remind everyone who he was. One evening, Maria was mopping the floor in the main lobby after most of the staff had left. Charles stumbled in, reeking of alcohol. His once pristine suit was rumpled, and his usually styled hair was disheveled. "There she is," he slurred, his voice dripping with venom. "The saint of Bridges Co." Maria didn't look up. She continued working, her face as calm as ever. "Answer me, you useless—" Charles staggered closer, his words growing louder. "Do you feel proud? You cost me everything." Maria finally stopped, looking up at him with tired eyes. "Mr. Kensington, I'm just doing my job. Please let me finish." Her calm tone enraged him. Before she could step away, Charles slapped her across the face. The sound echoed in the empty lobby. Maria gasped but didn't cry out. She touched her cheek, her hands trembling slightly, but her voice remained steady. "You need help, Mr. Kensington." Unbeknownst to Charles, one of the security guards had witnessed everything and was already recording the incident on his phone. The next morning, the video was everywhere. It showed Charles, drunk and violent, assaulting Maria. The caption beneath the video read, "Why is Bridges Co. protecting Charles Kensington?" The backlash was immediate. Employees, clients, and the public demanded answers. Maria's stoic response to the incident only fueled the outrage. Jacob Lynn, the CEO, wasted no time. He called an emergency meeting with HR and legal advisors. "We made a mistake by not firing him the first time," Jacob admitted grimly. "We won't make the same mistake again." Charles was terminated that afternoon. He wasn't just fired, he was blacklisted from the industry. No reputable firm would touch him after his actions were made public. The fallout from Charles Kensington's actions shook the foundations of Bridges Co. The company, determined to make amends, shifted its focus toward fairness and accountability. Maria Espinoza, who had remained calm and professional through every storm, became the face of resilience and dignity. One day, Jacob Lynn, the CEO, called Maria into his office. She entered hesitantly, her hands clasped nervously in front of her. "Please, have a seat," Jacob said with a kind smile. Maria sat down, unsure of what to expect. "Maria," Jacob began, "you've been with this company for over a decade. Through it all, you've worked tirelessly, often going unnoticed. But after everything that has happened, it's clear that your contributions to this firm go far beyond your job description." Maria's heart raced. "We've decided to promote you to Facilities Operations Manager," Jacob said, sliding a letter across the desk. "With this role comes a significant salary increase, full benefits, and additional support staff to assist you in overseeing the building's operations." Maria's eyes welled with tears. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Mr. Lynn. This means so much to me." "You've earned this, Maria," Jacob said warmly. "We should have recognized your dedication a long time ago." Maria embraced her new position with grace and humility. For the first time, she had her own office, a modest but cozy space on the ground floor. Her days were now filled with overseeing schedules, managing staff, and ensuring the smooth operation of the company's facilities. Her colleagues, many of whom had taken her for granted, now treated her with newfound respect. Even Eleanor Chang, one of the firm's senior partners, sought Maria's advice on improving the work environment. "This place feels different now," Eleanor admitted one afternoon as they walked through the lobby. "It feels warmer. And I think we owe that to you." Maria smiled. "It takes everyone working together to make a difference." Charles, meanwhile, struggled to find his footing after his firing. His reputation was tarnished, and every attempt to secure a new job ended in rejection. He blamed everyone but himself, refusing to acknowledge the damage caused by his actions. Maria, however, focused on her future. With her promotion came stability she hadn't known in years. She moved her family into a better neighborhood, and her son Diego was able to focus entirely on his studies. "Mom," Diego said one evening, "you've always told me to stay humble and work hard, even when life feels unfair. Watching you has taught me what true strength looks like." Maria hugged him tightly, her heart swelling with pride. The company thrived under its new culture of accountability and respect. Maria's efforts to improve the workplace environment didn't go unnoticed. She introduced small but meaningful changes, like staff appreciation days and wellness programs for all employees, regardless of rank. Maria's story became a quiet inspiration to everyone at Bridges Co. It reminded them that integrity and perseverance could rise above arrogance and cruelty. A year after her promotion, Maria stood in the same lobby where so much had unfolded. This time, she wasn't mopping the floors, but greeting a group of new hires as part of their orientation. "Welcome to Bridges Co.," she said with a warm smile. "This is more than just a place to work. It's a place where everyone deserves respect and a chance to grow. I'm living proof of that." As she spoke, the sunlight streaming through the windows seemed to cast a golden glow around her. Maria Espinoza was no longer just the quiet janitor people overlooked. She was a symbol of resilience, humility, and the belief that justice, though delayed, would always find its way. For Maria, life had come full circle, and her journey was just beginning.